My name is Ben Coleman, and I am a multidisciplinary artist working mainly in sound and thinking about sound and listening. A lot of my earliest memories are sonic. As a small boy, I do remember getting a little transistor radio at a jumble sale and sitting in bed, tuning between stations and kind of experimenting with that kind of world. So I think that's always been something I've really been drawn to. This is the speak and read. So this was the first thing that I ever circuit bent, and I think some of the components have just gone bad over time, so they need some new capacitors. If you are looking to transfer anything from cassette, this is the way to go. Just let me know. During the pandemic, I read a book called Surveillance Capitalism by a writer called Shoshana Zuboff, and it kind of blew my mind. What I learned from that, I was already very interested in kind of like the way that listening and sound plays into our relationship with technology. And when I learned about ShotSpotter, it seemed like a broader scale. It impacts all of us, and we're complicit in different kinds of ways. ShotSpotter essentially is a system where they install fancy microphones. They look like panels to street lamps on the poles there. And each one of these sensors is always listening to the noise of the city, of the streets around them. And when a sound is identified that has some of the characteristics of a potential gunshot, an alert is sent wirelessly to a control center where an algorithm picks over it and decides whether or not it thinks it's a gunshot. If it thinks it's a gunshot, it then gets passed to a human to verify, and if the human gives it the green light, that information, that alert then gets sent to the police in that neighborhood. So thinking again about how can I talk about this topic, the notion of all of the things, the kind of joyous sounds that could get mistaken for gunfire by a flawed tech like ShotSpotter was a really useful in for me. And thinking about those sounds all being rooted in human bodies. So initially when you encounter the work, you think you're walking into some kind of party type atmosphere, these kinds of like fun, things like fireworks, for example. Those will be all around you, and it's maybe only after the fact, if you were to read the label or get a little bit deeper into it, you realize that kind of the actual work is pretty satirical, I think. And it's the kind of the sad fact that it's a lot of these joyous sounds that get misclassified as gunfire. And as a consequence, police are moving into neighborhoods that are already over-policed with their guns ready because they've been told there's been gunfire. ShotSpotter is a flawed technology, I think, from the research that I've done. And that includes a lot of peer-reviewed journals and articles. Many other people have posited that money could go to preventative measures that would actually reduce gun crime and would stop it happening much more effectively.
3, 2, 1. Yay!